G'day guys, John Chengo here. Welcome to another marathon training video. This is a follow-up video after the Sydney Marathon, which was 2 weeks ago, and also ran the Yurrebilla 56km trail race 1 week ago. And so this is a build-up week this week. Not too much in the way of distance or intensity, but just I'll go through how I approached this week's training, as well as a recap of those races. Feel free to look back at the previous videos that I've done, which was the build up towards Sydney. They're really good video viewing from what people have said. But yeah, the first run this week has been an easy 35-minute run, and in the afternoon repeating that session with another easy 35-minute run. Now, rather than doing just the 1 hour run or an hour 10 run, I've split it into two to get used to running twice a day, get back into the routine. For the last 2.5 weeks I've been running once a day, so really need to get back into the routine of running twice a day. Much easier to get the mileage up doing that. Now, another reason why running twice today is I'm managing a bit of an injury. Through Yurrebilla I got a sore heel from hitting it directly on some sharp rocks, so feels like I've got a bit of a bruised heel, and that may be the first signs of plantar fasciitis, which is where the arch of the foot is a bit too tight and starts pulling on your heel and causing inflammation at the insertion there. So the loosening up continues. I did an easy half hour this morning at Corn here, and then I've just done my first fast running since Sydney Marathon 2 weeks ago. Just did a 5k build. So started off at about did a 3:46 for the first k, and then built to a 3:26 by the end. It was pretty tough. Haven't run fast for a while, so I was hurting, but that's the aim of the game, is to get some faster running in, get used to running fast again. So I'll just go through about the Sydney Marathon. It was the Australian Championships, and the taper went well. I didn't do that many long runs, but I started to do lots of marathon pace work towards the end. Nice easy few weeks leading into the race. I had a fairly relaxing couple of days before the race, although I did have a bit of a stressful time leading into the race. I know that sometimes with travel you can get stressed with missing flights and so on. Well, in my situation, I had booked in to go and travel to Sydney with the kids. I'd been given the go-ahead to stay with the relatives of the kids' mum, but she said no, even though I'd booked the tickets, so they didn't come with me. Ended up having to go on my own. That was alright though, because I did some different sightseeing for myself. For me, it was looking at aquarium shops. There's a shop that I've been selling fish to and buying fish from for a few years, so I got to have a couple hours chat with him on the Friday, so I was fairly relaxed before the race. I did have a bit of an issue with injury leading into it. I had some really sore hips. I've had kind of, I guess you call it osteitis pubis, just aching sort of hips and needing to build more strength for about the last year or so, and it's been a constant battle of sort of loosening it up and doing enough work to get stronger. And I had that flare up quite badly on the Friday before the race, so instead of doing comfortably fast running like I had been, I had to do a really slow run with lots of stops for stretching during the run. And even then my hips are still really sore, but I sorted it out. I brought my spiky ball to sort out all the hot spots around my hips, and ended up getting all good for race day. And I actually spoke to one of the other runners who'd been in the race, and he was having a lot of trouble with his hips, and that's why he reckons he had a bad day because of that. But anyway, the race, I knew I'd be up against some fairly stiff competition. I had a list of the athletes that I was up against from the other state teams, because it was the national titles, and each team nominated a team of up to 6 athletes, where the best 3 athletes across the line scored points for the team. And I saw the list and I realised that there was quite a few guys at about my ability level, so sort of guys who'd run close to 2 hours 30 or had the potential to go a fair bit quicker than that. So I knew I'd have my work cut out for me, but there wasn't any really quick guys until I found out in the press release a few days before the race that Scott Westcott was racing, and he's raced the Olympics. So he was one guy who I thought, okay, well, there goes my chance of an Australian title. But I knew I had a chance of a medal, and I knew it was still my A race. I'd really been focusing a lot on it with a proper taper leading into it, and no big races in the couple weeks beforehand or anything like that. So came race, it was very windy. Ended up with a headwind for most of the first 10k, including going over the hill towards Centennial Park. Started off, I was in about 5th place Australian, I could see from fairly early on, and I had a problem with my watch GPS. Didn't lock in time before the start gun went, even though I gave it more than 5 minutes to lock in. It still didn't lock in. So my first 5k's was completely wrong, and I was ticking about 300 meters before the kilometer marks at that stage. But after 5k, it looked like it was keeping fairly good splits. Only had one issue at about 35 or 38k where it did a 2-minute k or something. It just completely messed up because of the high buildings. But yeah, I wasn't able to judge by the pace of the watch. I just had to go by effort, and into the wind I just ran solid. That was the idea, was to run fairly solid and not take it easy, not go at an easy marathon pace, go at fairly hard marathon pace, knowing that I was quite fit leading into the event. I've done that a number of times before in races where I hadn't quite got this same level of fitness, and I knew that I was in trouble by about the 1 hour mark in those races. So it's one of those things where if you've got the fitness, it's worth attacking the race like that and going at what you can hold or a little bit quicker. But if you don't have the fitness and you start struggling at 5-10k, it can be a very long day out there. So I was just happy that I was feeling good, and by the time I got over the hill after 10k, I started to feel good. I started to pick up some of the other runners that were ahead of me. I was running just under 3 minutes 30k's for anything that was flat or slightly downhill, and there was some long uphill sections. Even into the wind, I was still under 3 minutes 40. I was sort of 3:36, 3:34 or something for most of those k's. So I was running quite strongly even into the wind on uphills. But having said that, I was still behind a lot of other Australian guys that I'd recognised. They went out even quicker than me. So the first one I picked up was Clay Dawson. He went out really quick with the leaders. Caught him about 8k's in. Then Brendan Davies, who was another state representative. He'd run the 100k the week before, so I don't know how he turned up to the marathon and raced as well as he did, but he went quite a bit quicker than me at the start, and I passed him about, I think, 15k. And then at about the same time I passed him, I saw Scott Westcott walking on the side of the road. So he'd obviously gone out quite hard, and I think he had an injury problem. So I mean, it's one that's championship racing. You've got to make it to the start line in the first place, but then you have to actually do it as well. So he'd pulled out, and I could see up ahead that Vlad Shatrov was coming back towards me. He was only about 45 seconds ahead of me, and I could see that I was running faster than him, and without working as hard. So he was working. I could see he was working harder than me, but I was catching him, so I knew that I'd beaten him, and he was the only Australian left in front of me. So I was like, well, I just can't believe it. I'm actually going to win this Australian Championship, and I knew that from about 15k's in. So I caught Vlad and passed him about 22k, and that was the only time I had someone to run with. I ran with him for about 150 metres, and that was about it. And then I felt good going over the hill through Hyde Park and then down the other side, and I was just running really well. I was kept going that same sort of speed, sort of the mid to high 320 pace on the flats and downhills, and I just kept that going. I started to struggle a lot by about 30k though, and I guess it was because I was running into the wind a bit, and there was some hills, and just the hills eventually caught up to me, and I started to slow down a lot from then onwards. The last 10k I started to stagger a bit. My stride was nowhere near as good as what it had been, but I had a good buffer at that stage, so I just sort of held it together and said just got to reel them off kilometre after kilometre and just get through. So even though I was staggering and not running very well, I thought I was running quite poorly. I was going through each kilometre and I was still saying 340 to 344 for each k, so it was okay, and I was on track for a sub 230 marathon. 40k mark, I went over the timing thing. I saw 2:21:49, so got 8 minutes 10 seconds to run 2.2k. Should be pretty easy, but no, I was completely spent at that stage, and I ended up slowing down a lot to about 4-minute Ks, and missed the 2 minutes 30 by a good 30 seconds. So didn't get the 2 hours 30 by 30 seconds, but I still got a new personal best. Big 3 minutes, knocked off what I did for Adelaide about 4 months ago. So and the Adelaide was a PB by a minute, so that's 4 minutes, or about 5 seconds a kilometre PB in the last two marathons. So really happy with that, and shows that what I went through in how I approached my training seems to be working for me. So a lot more marathon pace, intensity, and a little bit faster, and less long, slow miles. Still fairly high mileage weeks, but a lot of sessions of fast running per week, which I guess is a different approach to what a lot of other people do, which maybe they limit the amount of intense sessions they do per week. But I was doing up to 4 sessions a week. When I did the really heavy sessions though, I'd made sure I had an easy day beforehand and a couple of easy days afterwards. So that was for the really heavy long sessions, but I was doing quite a few of sort of those half-hour sessions, just like I did tonight, kind of the 5k, although usually I was doing sort of 7-8k of pretty high aerobic type work. So yeah, that's my update on the Sydney Marathon, and I hope you would have seen that on Strava. But otherwise, yeah, good if you're just following through these videos. That's how it went. 2 hours and 30 minutes is my new personal best for the marathon. Okay, so today I'm taking it easy 40-minute run this morning, that'll be it. I'd like to also mention that for the run in the marathon, it was racing flats that I used, not the Nike 4%ers. So if you're thinking about getting them, yeah, there was a lot of people that were using them, but you can't get the PBs without those special shoes. So racing flats definitely important though. Makes a big difference, a few seconds per kilometre difference to be running with racing flats rather than light training shoes. Today is definitely not racing flats. Got my orange mud water vest here. I've got my phone with the map of the Hyson Trail. I followed the Hyson Trail from Corn here to the start of the Dutchman Stern hike. I'm going to do that as my workout today. It's going to be quite steep, a lot of elevation to get to the top, and a lot of single track. I think it's pretty much all single track, fairly rocky, technical, and so on. So I think it's a good idea to do this type of workout when you're not really have your speed legs back. So I guess I haven't done any fast interval work for about a month now. I've been just tapering and recovering from the races, so I definitely don't feel comfortable running fast at the moment. So just by running at a training pace and trying to maintain a training pace up the steep hills will be a very good workout for me today. So that's what the aim is today. Okay, hope that's inspired some of you guys to come out and do the Dutchman Stern loop. It wasn't as steep as what I thought it would be. The steepest parts were sort of 10-12%. Because it was such a long hill, he ended up going quite slow, and just a bit of a struggle to keep going up there, but got through it all right. I'm the 7th person to have done the loop on Strava, recorded a time, so there's a couple other guys who had the same idea as me and decided to do it as hard hill training. Their time was an hour 2 and an hour 3. My time was 56 minutes today, so it shows that it's still quite a long loop, even when you're pushing it. But now I'm doing the Hyson Trail back to Quorn, so 9k's from Quorn to the start of Dutchman Stern and 9k's back. It's going to be quite a good long session, sort of 28-29k in total. Yeah, so quite a long session this morning, but it's nothing compared to what is going on here today at Thornton Park. There's the Adelaide 6-day ultramarathon, so run as far as you can in 6 days around a paved course here, 1.4k's. There is a fair bit of gradient in this course, so you get to jog on an easy downhill, and then you can choose to walk on the uphills. That's what most people are doing, measuring their effort over 6 days. So yeah, came down here to check out the ultra. Now, update on the Yurrebilla Ultra, the 56k that I did the week after Sydney. Now, at Sydney, I thought that maybe my hammies would be no good the way they were feeling during the race, but it was actually my calves that pulled up very sore for the few days after Sydney, and I had to decide whether I was going to enter Yurrebilla by the Thursday before the next weekend. The calves are almost good enough, so I thought, yep, I'll have them sorted out by the weekend, and they were pretty good. Came race day and everything was fine, but I was a bit tired doing the race. As soon as I started, I knew that I wasn't feeling great. It was just a normal training sort of feeling, so I paced myself for a 56k long run, and went fairly well for most of it. I alternated between Coke and water from about an hour and a half in. I did fall over in the just after Eagle on the Hill. And just to go through a bit about the Yurrebilla, for those of you who don't know, it's a trail run 56k's through most of the national parks around close to the city centre of Adelaide. So you start off in Belair, you go through Brown Hill Creek after Belair, then up through Eagle on the Hill, Mount Lofty, well, Cleland, which is below Mount Lofty, and then across to the top of Green Hill Road, Horsenell Gully, and then back up to Norton Summit, down through Morialta, and then across Montague Road, and then up over the top of Black Hill. And so it's fairly tough in the way of hills, but there were quite a lot of long runnable sections, so sort of had to manage my effort over the 56. I was pretty bad for the last 20k though, a really slow decline, and I started to do a lot more walking. Did find out a few new things though with nutrition. I was really struggling to eat in the first half, just because of the intensity, so I think I'll probably do better on gels than trying to manage I was trying snakes through the way as I was going, but as my intensity lowered, I was able to eat more. So I guess that's one thing that when I've run marathons, it's always been sort of high intensity, and you're just going at your limit, and you don't have a chance to feel better as you go on. So it's usually just a steady decline. But with the ultra, as I was walking up the steeper hills, I was able to eat, and But I was still a bit unhappy that I was walking so much. It was quite interesting that with the Yurrebilla they start people at different wave starts. So you've got, depending on how long you're planning on finishing, you start earlier in the day, so the faster runners start last, and so most of the way through you're overtaking people. And from about 47 kilometres onwards, I had someone who started at the 7 o'clock wave. I caught them, but I wasn't able to get past them. On the downhills I was going quicker, and on the flats I was going quicker, but on the uphills I was getting overtaken. So I was having a good 25 minutes or so where I just couldn't get away from this girl who started at 7 a.m. So I'd already caught up 90 minutes, but I couldn't go any quicker because that's how slow I was going towards the end. So I think next time with Yurrebilla I'll have to do it fresh, or my next trail race I'll have to do it fresh, because doing it when you're just feeling like going out for a training run and you're trying to sort of extend your long run up to 56 k's or whatever is quite difficult. So but to be fresh is sort of what I worked out, but I also did work out a lot of things about intensity, nutrition, pacing and so on. So good learning experience, and I managed to get the win at Yurrebilla for the first time out, so really happy with that. Now I was asked at the 6-day event whether I was planning on doing it, and I found that the races that I'm doing at the moment really challenging me already, with both physically, mentally, very rewarding, very challenging. So I'm happy with what I've been selecting at the moment. My road marathons are moving into a bit of trail, so I don't think I'll be doing the 6-day event soon, but yeah, I could see how really challenging it was for people being out there all week. You know, it's really mentally quite tough, highs and lows. The main reason why I wouldn't do it is I have enough trouble keeping the body good through the current training that I'm doing. The foot injury that I've got at the moment did get a little bit worse after the trail run on Thursday, so just taking it easy today. Yesterday I did a easy 10k run. Today do an easy hour, and then I'll be nice and fresh for a long run tomorrow. Now, you don't need to do all your long runs on tired legs, although that's quite conventional to do your long runs on tired legs. But you know, if you can get to the end of the long run feeling okay, running it well, even running it quickly towards the end, you know, that's really good training. So yeah, I'm okay with just taking it a little bit easier this week and just building up. However, I do need to get into training and get some proper training in, because I've got the Queenstown Marathon in New Zealand in 6 weeks' time, so I need to have a few solid weeks before tapering. So this week's been a good build-up week so far. Starting to feel okay, feeling better than what I did at the start of the week. You know, starting to feel a lot more natural running, so I should be ready to do some faster work next week. Now, I know the initial plan was to do the long run today. However, the heel is really getting on my mind, so
I've found out over the years that if you're umming and ahhing about going training because of an injury, it's probably better to just not go training. So it's been getting a little bit better every day. I've been doing bending the toes back through doing planks, which is a way of just holding your toes back for a long period of time and keeping your mind occupied while you're doing that. And also doing some calf raises, because apart from being a bit sore in the arch, it was also a bit sore at the very back of the heel. And the very back of the heel, I find, sorts itself out if I do some calf raises, both straight knee and bent knee. So I've been doing some of them as well. It's been improving, but I do need to take a day off. So the last couple of weeks I've been having 1 day off a week as well. So it's sort of 3 weeks in a row where I've just run 6 days. But it's still a good week's training. I've improved my mileage from last week. It was only 53k last week. This week was 96. So although I've got only 6 weeks to go into Queenstown Marathon, I think just taking today off was the best call. So hope you've enjoyed the video so far, and I'll do another update in a couple of weeks when I'm doing a bit more training. See you then.
John Trengay will win the Australian Championship. John Trengay will win the Australian Marathon Championship. John Trengay, first Australian across the line, and he wins the Australian Marathon Championship.